Welcome, new listeners and returning listeners, to today's episode of the Black Business Roundtable. I am your host, Doug Blacksher, broadcasting to you live from the city of Diversity, Oakland, California, at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast Time every Thursday. Sending love to my sister, Dr. Ashley Coleman, Doctor of Psychology, and as soon as her busy schedule permits, we hope to see her back in the studio soon. Celebrating this month courtesy of National Day Calendar, National Women's History Month, National Write Down Your History Day, March 14th, founded in 2017 by National Day Calendar and author Mitzi, hashtag Write Your Story Day, World Glaucoma Week. Second full week in March, note African Americans are 6 to 8 times, and think of that, 6 to 8 times more likely than Caucasian to develop glaucoma. Other ethnic groups, such as older populations of Hispanic and Asians, are also at higher risk. Hashtag World Glaucoma Week. So get your eyes checked. Get your eyes checked and see what you have been missing. A calendar note from Equal Justice Initiative, EJI.org. Once again, EJI.org. On this day, March 14th, 1835, free Black people must, keyword is must, apply for a license to remain in Missouri. On March 14th, 1885, the Missouri General Assembly passed a law that required free Black people to apply for a license. A license. Now, just imagine that. Just use your mind. Imagine that. A license to remain in the state. Black people who failed to do so faced fines of up to $100 and were incarcerated. And expulsion from the state of Missouri. Fearful of a growing Black population, while legislators enacted the law in an attempt to force Black people out of the state and empower authorities. And just imagine that, empowered authorities to seize any free Black person that they suspected lacked a license. Read more as indicated on the screen below. So let's go back to that. If you did not get a license, you could be enslaved, incarcerated, and fined $100 in the state of Missouri. And some of us refuse to vote to this day. Shame, shame, shame. Today, on the Black Business Roundtable podcast show, our surprise guest is not a surprise any longer. We have the awesome, we have the beautiful, we have the intelligent, we have the deputy mayor of Oakland, California, who is going to let not only the city of Oakland, the county of Alameda, the state of California, but the United States of America, what positive things are going on here in Oakland, California. And we look forward to having her. And I believe she's backstage already. So let me finish up my introduction and get her on the show immediately, because we need to know what is going on in Oakland, California, as I've had colleagues all across the United States asking me, What the hell is going on in Oakland, California? Oakland, California. Oakland Restaurant Week starts today. Who's hungry? I know I am, and I'll probably be at Willows and Pines this weekend. I saw Everett and Jones and Calabasas on the news last night. Looking forward to the food, fun, and community. Join and support Oakland businesses. Order for pickup, or better yet, dine in. On March 26th in Oakland, California, unfortunately, RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., planned to reveal his pick for VP, Vice President, as he runs for president. This is just a bad deal, as this peels off votes from the Democratic candidate Biden. And I am a California delegate, and I just want to say, this is not good, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We need all hands on deck to make sure that Biden wins this election, because if Trump wins the election, I got my passport in my pocket and I'm ready to jump ship. This is just a bad deal, as this peels off votes for the Democratic candidate Biden. And I had to say it twice. This man, family, seems to distance themselves. And if family don't want you, why should we? Thumbs up. Dun, 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 dun. Thumbs up goes to, did you make the list this week? Did you make the list this week? This week's thumbs up goes to everyone. And I do mean everyone who voted. They were just talking about it on MSNBC, on CNN, where Black people could not even vote. Now we have a chance to vote and we don't vote. Call your grandparent, call your uncles, call your aunties, call people from the South who had to fight for the right to vote. And we take it callously and don't vote now. So this week's thumbs up goes to everyone that participated in the democracy of voting wherever you may live. Voting could not get any easier as your ballot came to your residence and you participated. You participated in the outcome. So thumbs up, dun, 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 goes to those who voted. Thank you. This week, thumbs down definitely goes to every registered voter and every person of voting age that did not register or vote. And I have to say this with a sour heart. If you didn't vote, shame, shame, shame on you. Voting makes us a democracy. Voting allows us to vote for people who are going to look out for the best interests of not only our neighborhoods, our communities, our city, our county, our state, but the United States of America. So if you didn't vote this week, I'm not feeling you. So thumbs down, dun, 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 goes to those people who did not vote, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You are the problem and not the damn solution. Get a grip. And I don't want to hear any complaining, as not voting is a no vote against your own best interests. This week, audience, bear with me, because as a California delegate for the Democratic Party, as an Alameda County Democratic Central Committee, as an officer on the Oakland East Bay Democratic Club, I fight for the right for people to get out there and vote. And it's time to get off the fence and start voting in people who will look out for the democracy of America. So, to that end, let's dive right into it. Our special guest, and it wasn't a surprise until today, our special guest is Deputy Vice Mayor, serves as the Mayor of Oakland's right-hand person, Dr. Kimberly Mayfield, Chief of Staff. Ms. Mayfield is a professor of education at Holy Names University, and Mayor Tao has tasked her with recruiting a historically Black college or university to open a campus in Oakland, California. And you know, San Francisco is moving ahead with that already. Among other duties, she advised Ron Dellum's administration on education issues and serves as education policy advisor to the WAPA, Black Woman of Political, and I may have this incorrect, advisory state board. Email address kmayfield@oaklandcalifornia.gov. Phone number as listed below. The official website of the City of Oakland. Find out about meetings. Request city services through Oakland 31 or contact the mayor and city council. I humbly, graciously, and look forward to seeing this beautiful Black woman, intelligent sister, and deputy mayor for the city of Oakland, Dr. Mayfield. Please come on board. How you doing, Dr. Mayfield?
I'm fine. I just have a couple of little tweaks to what's on the screen. I'm not the chief of staff, but I am the deputy mayor. And my number is 510-238-3460. I think that was a carryover maybe from the last administration. But I'm so glad to be here, Doug. Thank you for the opportunity to have a conversation with you today.
Well, audience, let's be clear here. Oakland has been plagued with crime, violence. We have had old gatekeepers talking about how bad we're doing, how bad the administration is. And audience, let me be clear. I have had the opportunity to talk to Deputy Mayor Mayfield, and when I call, she returns my call. Since you've been in office with the mayor, I have to let this audience know how I appreciate your diligence in responding to whether it be questions, discussing Helping Hands, which has been helping the community, feeding the community for over 30 years. The Black Food and Wine Festival, you helped us usher that. And we didn't have that last year because Lobby Libby Schaff did not promote that. But Shane Tao, under your advisement, met with Chef Mimi, and they're going to have that back here in Oakland. That has generated tens of thousands of dollars, as well as ushered in many, and I do mean many, Black businesses and support Black businesses here in Oakland, as well as I've seen you on the news, planting trees, just being out there in the community. So, audience, we want to recognize Dr. Kimberly for her work to putting Oakland back on the map in a positive way. So thank you.
Absolutely.
There are three questions, and I know you are a busy person. And audience, I'd like to commend Dr. Kimberly, Deputy Mayor, we we've been talking over the last year, but because of the brutal beating that me and my producer have been getting, we reached out to Dr. Mayfield, and she said, yes, I will be on the show today. And I want to defend the administration. I want to talk to people about what's going on in the city of Oakland. And I want to let people know that we are not asleep at the wheel. And last week, Dr. Mayfield, I told my audience, Oakland is like the Titanic. When you see rats jumping off a ship, that means the ship is sinking. So we're going to rectify that statement today with, first off, what is the current administration doing to address the many issues in Oakland? And I'm going to use the most important one, Kaiser and Clorox, who are two of the biggest employers in the city of Oakland, have told their employees, do not go out and patronize the businesses around our business. Bring your lunch, come to work, eat your lunch, and go home. And as we talked about earlier, that would devastate the small businesses in the area, which is downtown Oakland. So, can you tell us anything about events that you know that the administration currently is doing to foster new to foster economic development, people coming here and spending money here in the city of Oakland? Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for the question. In October of last year, Councilmember Reed had a public safety forum, and she's a member of Delta Sigma Theta, and some of her sorority sisters were there, and they let the mayor and the acting chief of police know that they had selected Oakland to be the location for their Western Regional Founders Day, and they wanted the mayor's support and the police support, the support of Councilmember Fife to ensure that the area around the Marriott would feel safe and welcoming and warm for their members to come. And I'm happy to report that we were able to achieve that. So at the end of January of this year, over 1,500 members of Delta Sigma Theta came. They stayed at the Oakland Marriott for a weekend, and they were a shot in the arm financially to restaurants in the area. And they met without incident. They had a great time. They patronized local restaurants, had after hours events at a couple of locations. They were walking around the city and spending their money, because we know that African American women are the most educated segment of the population. And with that education, although we know that racism makes finances unequitable, but all in all, these were college educated Black women who had traveled from all points in the West and came to Oakland and used our restaurants, patronized our restaurants, and walked around downtown and had a wonderful time and without incident. And we made sure that law enforcement knew that they were here, and that definitely happened. And they parked on city streets, they parked in parking lots, and had a great time. Their original registration was at 1,300, and they far exceeded that, because what we know is they're the people who register, then they're the people who come to hang out, to have a good time. And so there were at least 200 or more that came that weren't registered. And they just enjoyed our downtown area and really patronized the businesses. I thought it was important to let some businesses know that they were come, because with that number of people, we want to make sure that they don't have extended wait times at restaurants, that the menus are full and they can order and that kind of thing. And Oeste noticed that they were here and said that it really hit their bottom line in a positive way, and other restaurants as well. And I think, what you mentioned earlier in your comments around Oakland Restaurant Week, that's another event that's designed to bring people into the city. There are over 120 or 130 restaurants participating in that. And so not only do we want Oakland residents to come and experience the culinary delights, we also want our neighbors from local cities, the suburbs, to come into Oakland, enjoy our food, and also give a financial infusion to our local businesses. And then also the Oakland Marathon is happening this weekend. And so people will come into the city to run in the marathon. And then we know some people are going to stay overnight. They won't come just for the day, so they may stay overnight. So that'll help our restaurants. They'll obviously eat while they're here. That'll help small businesses, and then small business restaurants, and it's in Restaurant Week. But hopefully they'll also patronize our retail establishments while they're here. So those are just a couple of examples. And we initiated a 5 after 5 program during December, and I think we've extended it. So for I think it's the parking lot on 19th and Franklin, people can park there for $5 for 5 hours starting at 5 o'clock. And so that way their cars are in a parking structure and they can enjoy the nightlife in our city.
Dr. Mayfield, respectively known as the Deputy Mayor of Oakland. As we know, there has been a group of people who are trying to demonize the city of Oakland as this anti-Black economic engine, as this, and we all know about the study that was done that said that Oakland spends $500 million on services, but out of that, less than 2% goes to Black businesses. Can you talk to this audience about what efforts are being made by the current administration to address that? Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm really excited to talk about the commitment that this administration has to all of our citizens, but especially given the statistics that you've mentioned, the racial wealth gap, and so forth. So the special attention to the African American community. Recently, the city of Oakland was designated as a Bloomberg American Sustainable City through an initiative to propel urban innovation and Black business incubation through our urban forest plan. And basically, what that means is that it's a couple of things. So first, if we talk about sort of the urban forest and the tree canopy in the city of Oakland, what people like you and I know, Doug, because we were raised in Oakland, is that our urban canopy has eroded over time. And when I say urban canopy, I really mean the number of trees in our city and in our neighborhoods. And so this designation from Bloomberg allows Oakland to engage our African American residents around forestry and arborism, if you will, basically planting trees and maintaining trees once they're planted. The city has, through budget cuts and fiscal crisis, eliminated funds for maintaining trees. This initiative allows for the development of Black businesses that would be focused on maintaining trees. And so there's a targeted effort to reach out to Black owned businesses because, like you said, there's clear disparities. And so not only Black owned businesses, but the cultivation of Black owned businesses in this area. So this Bloomberg money will allow the city to engage with Black residents who want to start businesses, learn about arborism, to plant trees, maintain them, because the life of a tree, trees live for 100 or 150 years. So with these businesses, we're envisioning long-term engagement of these businesses with the city. So not only business creation, but also the training on how to be identified as a Black-owned business, but to also be competitive in the contracting process, so the Black-owned businesses for generations can get the contracts with the city to maintain the trees. And I really want to focus on the maintaining, because one part is to plant the trees. That's, one part of it. But the second part is to maintain the trees once they're planted. In Oakland, we do just about everything that we can through an equity lens. I see your hand up.
Audience, I have to say this. My dad, Artist Blacksher, and I had a business back in the 1990s where we made over $1 million a year after the firestorm in the Oakland Hills. So the program that you're alluding to, this is not a nickel and dime project. This is a hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollar program that could change the lives of many African Americans in the city of Oakland. So when Dr. Mayfield, deputy mayor for the city of Oakland, talks about this arborist program, I urge you to get involved, because we have a city that is being demonized as not having opportunity. So you don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to graduate from Harvard or Princeton. All you need to do is be a hard worker, and under the program that you're alluding to, you can come in here. And once again, my father, Artist Blacksher, who's been in, he passed away 10 years ago, and from that program, I moved on my business to be a general contractor and worked on a multi-billion, $500 million contract with Highland Hospital. So this is an opportunity. This is not to show the city of Oakland, the county of Alameda, the state of California, but this is to show the United States of America that Oakland is building opportunity for growth in Black businesses. So continue on, Doc. I wanted to excite the audience, because when you have 4 digits, people go, Right. When you have 5 digits, people go, But when you start talking 6 digits, people get excited. They get fired up. Hey, I can buy a home in Oakland right now. Right now in Oakland, you got to be making them, but you got to be making at least 6 digits to even get in the flatland. That's not in the hills. So
No,
I apologize for interrupting you. Go ahead,
no,
Doc.
that's fine. That's fine. What I was just going to underscore is that we do a lot of our initiatives, as many as absolutely possible, using a lens of equity. And so when we look at the areas of the city that have the most trees and the areas that have the least amount of trees, there is an intersection with race and wealth. So, in Oakland, we have something, a device like the hills and the flatlands, and the flatlands tend to be populated by more people of color, although Oakland is very diverse like that in terms of where we live. And so many African American residents will be planting trees, potentially in the neighborhoods that they grew up in or frequented. And so that's really exciting. And so for people who don't want to be inside, who like freedom and autonomy, being an arborist is a great business to have because you're outside, um, you know, kind of marching to a beat of your own drum. And once we get the businesses established and take them through training so they can be competitive in the procurement process, you've already indicated like a 7-figure experience with you and your father. This is how we build Black wealth. And it's really important to underscore that it's Black wealth to change the outcome for families generationally, not just in the moment, but these are business that can thrive for the next 30, 40, 50 years and change potentially the trajectory for their kids, their grandkids, like you talked about, home ownership in the city of Oakland, and then building wealth through stocks and bonds with like one good job, because that's always my intention, that people don't have to work 2 or 3 jobs to quote unquote make it, but one good job. And the contracts will definitely be large enough to surpass whatever like the minimum wages. These are great jobs. And like you said, all you need to have is a desire and a good work ethic. You don't need a bachelor's degree. They will train you on what it means to maintain trees and to plant trees. And what the research shows us is that in neighborhoods that are tree lined, the climate is better, the mental health is better, and there's just not the same amount of crime. There's almost no crime because there's a greater sense of well-being.
And Doctor, what you said is in line with um, what's going on here in Oakland. We do need to have Oakland. It's in line with the city, Oakland. And so, audience, I encourage you to reach out to the city of Oakland regarding the opportunity for not just learning how to be an arborist, but learning the procurement process, which contradicts, and I use the word contradicts, the stigma that says Oakland has just given up on Black people and kicked us to the curb.
Mhm.
So I'm going to jump around a little bit. Encourage, and I want to go back before I go to the next topic. I want to encourage everyone to understand my dad and I, we had a business license and we started cutting after the big firestorm back in 1991. We start cutting weeds and making vegetation management control. And we did over $1 million a year, which helped my family, my sister, my cousin, her kids buy a home in the city of Oakland, California. So thank you, Dr. Mayfield, for sharing that. Now, I want to go back to the Delta. Now, is it my understanding that when the Deltas were here, they did not have any incidents of safety, car burglaries, robberies? they were able to patronize the businesses in the city of Oakland with no incidences, and were very happy with the services that they received in this city. Because as we know, a small business in Oakland, California, specifically in the downtown area, cannot survive without the patronizing of not just local, but people who are visiting here.
That's
If
right.
you visit here and are afraid to go out and spend money, that doesn't help Oakland. That hurts Oakland. Can you
That's right.
elaborate on that a little bit? Thank you.
Well, we worked closely with the organizers of the event and put, made sure that the council member, like I said, whose district is just where the Marriott is, the area captain knew the Deltas were coming, OPD knew the Deltas were coming. So, everybody knew. And I guess, the message went out to the people who commit crime that the Deltas are coming, so go someplace else. Because I feel like if there had been any type of crime or incident, the organizers would have let us know, and they didn't. They said they had a wonderful time. um, no cars that we know of were vandalized. They moved in, small groups the way we go out when we're fellowshipping with each other, and without incident. They had a great time, patronized Oakland businesses. Of course, some of them ate at the Marriott, but we know what it's like when you have a conference. You do what you need to in the hotel, but you want to explore the local community and the local environment. And that's what happened. And everybody had a great time.
Well, see, these are the types of stories that we don't hear about.
That's right.
And you stated that the number was 1,500 women that
Yes.
came here to Oakland to uh, celebrate, to uh, enjoy the venues in Oakland, to have their gala, and there was nothing going on.
Yeah.
1,500 women. Did you hear
Yeah.
that, audience? So why does media not promote that? That's a lot of people. 1,500 women
Right.
and
Black women, Black
Black women.
educated women. That's
Yeah,
right. That chose Oakland. Yeah.
yes, yes. Now let's go to safety. The residents and businesses of Oakland have stated emphatically that they fear for their life, that safety in regards to burglaries, small businesses being robbed, large businesses being robbed. You being in the mayor's office, what can you tell this audience regarding how the mayor's office, the mayor's administration is addressing that? Because not just here locally in Oakland and Alameda County and in the state. Hello, Tampa, Florida. I see you there. I see you. How does the mayor's administration, and you are part of that, you're deputy mayor, what concerns or what answers to the concerns of people who are scared to come here, who feel that they're going to sell their homes and move out of Oakland, sell their businesses and move out of Oakland? What is the mayor's office doing to address those issues? Thank you.
Well, we can't tell what the secret is, because then the people committing crime will know what our strategies are. But what I will say is that we are going to get flock cameras. I think there are about 300 of them that are going to come to Oakland, and that's based on a relationship that the mayor has with the governor. And those cameras will take pictures of license plates. And if people are committing crime, they take a picture of the license plate. And if they're leaving Oakland, going to our local, sort of like our bordering cities like San Leandro, Alameda, Berkeley, sort of in this region, it's a regional approach to being able to apprehend culprits. Um, and so that's major because that will help with surveillance, that helps to coordinate efforts in a general region, not just in the local area. We have not reduced the number of police officers, so we continue to have academies. We also have an ambassador program because one of the things that we know about crime is when it appears to be areas that are less dense, right? So if people are not like out in restaurants, like the vibrancy of people being out is also a crime deterrent. So we have an ambassador program where people are out maintaining the culture of the area. So they're sweeping, they're making sure it's clean, they're a visible presence. And these are the kinds of things that are being employed. I guess, lots of people know that we had CHP for a while to chase on freeways. There will still be some of that happening, but again, we can't say exactly because we want to really be able to apprehend the culprits of that. But it's a primary issue for the administration, and part of the 5 after 5 was to address feelings of being unsafe. So crime statistics, we get memos. The statistics are showing that certain types of crime are going down in the city. So some of the efforts are definitely working, but I know for residents, what has to happen is people have to, perception is 90% of it, right? People have to feel like it's safer. But I believe that if people come downtown, they'll begin to have more feelings of being safe.
You notice I always put my hand up like I'm in class because I know you are a professor.
Yeah,
And so I put my hand up like I'm in class. I got a question.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
audience, let's be clear here. People want to perceive Oakland as this lawless town. Criminals who are listening to this show, there are many things going on behind the scenes that you do not see.
That's right.
And if you come to Oakland, Mayor Shang and her administration are working diligently with other law enforcement agencies. And this is not what Dr. Mayfield told me. This is what I know for a fact. When you come to Oakland, you're taking a chance of going to prison if you want to do a crime here in Oakland.
That's
you
right.
may not be able to see it, but I've been here 61 years. And let me tell you, when I walk down to the store or I go down to the city of Oakland, I see CHP. I see the sheriff. I see undercover officers who are dedicated to bringing Oakland back in line to where we are the city that you can feel safe. The residents can feel that they're not going to have to worry about being robbed, that the businesses can count on our local law enforcement to protect us. And that is the perception that I want not only Oakland, Alameda County, state of California, but the United States of America, which this show goes coast to coast, border to border, and have people talking about Oakland is getting back. They tightening the ropes up down there, because the perception, Dr. Mayfield, is the opposite of that right now. Mm-hmm. The perception is that the mayor's office don't have a clue how scared people are. The perception is that the mayor's office does not understand that businesses are scared, are closing down in the Fruitvale district, in deep East Oakland, in North Oakland. Just recently we had, and we were talking about that earlier, the barbecue place that the line comes around the block. I can't think of the name of it. It's
Matt Horn.
Matt Horn, closing down his business. But as the Calvary told people 100 plus years ago, hang on, hold on, we're on our way. Hold on, don't give up.
Don't give up.
My next question is, I'm on the Community Policing Advisory Board appointed by Vice Mayor Rebecca Kaplan, now Mayor Shang Tao and Vice Mayor. If you know anything, the Community Policing Advisory Board, we are trying to work with the Mayor of Oakland regarding having the mayor and the community and the Oakland PD work together, because who knows better than the residents, the community, the business section of how to resolve crime issues. If you know anything, what can you say about that in the mayor's office and what she's doing to address that? Thank you.
What she's doing to address, exactly, say that part again.
What she's doing to link up the residents and the community and the policing. I started a program under the auspice of he just finished his term, Creighton Davis. It was called pop-ups. Pop-ups are having businesses and Oakland residents meet with OPD, whether it be with the chief of police, the deputy chiefs, captains, lieutenants, sergeants, and rank and file, how to address the crimes that are devastating the city of Oakland.
I see. That is really not my area. So I can't speak to that. Brooklyn Williams is the chief of community safety and education, and so that's probably a question better suited for her. Yeah, I know that you've mentioned the pop-ups before. I know Ken Folks had one. I found out about it a little bit late because that is something that I would go as a listener just to hear the community. In the Dellums administration, we did have community task forces where people could come together and share their expertise and come up, with the platform. So I am aware of the strategy, but I can't speak to upcoming initiatives around that. I know that you've recommended that, and that might be something that the mayor would be interested in pursuing.
Deputy Mayor Dr. Kimberly Mayfield, we are working with less than 11 minutes. I want to say it has been an honor to have you on the show today. I can assure you that many of my listeners appreciate hearing from the mayor's office. One of the things that I can say about you is when I call you, you return my calls.
Yes.
And in light of the light that has been shed on the administration here in Oakland, the Toller Heights community, the Las Palmas community, deep East Oakland, which I am very tied into, helping hands who have been feeding people for over 30 plus years. We need to start highlighting the things that are positive in this city.
That's right.
Right now, and this is not Dr. Mayfield saying this, Lauren Taylor has won the majority vote for the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee. He ran against Mayor Shang Tao. Mayor Shang Tao beat him by 677 votes. They're doing a recall on Shang Tao. We need to start rallying around not what the problems are, but what the solutions are. We know the problems in Oakland, and they're similar to problems all across this nation. Oakland is not the only city in America that has been devastated by homelessness, burglaries, residents being robbed, businesses going out of business. But it's a problem all across the nation. But because people who are losers lost the election and are trying to position themselves to either recall the mayor or make sure she loses the next election, we got to start highlighting what the positive things that are going on in this city and doubling down on how to keep Oakland moving forward. So, Dr. Mayfield, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate you. I have one last question, which is similar to one that's going on in San Francisco. Wait a minute, there's one on the screen. It seems to be a big disconnect with the mayor. That's one, with the residents and the businesses. But the second, that San Francisco has a program with the HBCU. Can you talk a little bit about that? Thank you.
About our efforts.
Yes.
So as was mentioned earlier, I formerly worked at Holy Names University as the Dean of the School of Ed and the Vice President for External Relations and Strategic Partnerships. That campus is now available. The university closed, and it was purchased by an entity, and it's pretty vacant. And so we think that's the perfect place for HBCU. San Francisco would like to also have an HBCU. I think the more the merrier in the area. Oakland has the largest percentage of African Americans in the area. I've worked with a lot of undergrads who wanted to go to an HBCU, but their families couldn't figure out the funding. And so having one locally that is a bachelor's degree granting institution would be phenomenal. I am planning to have a task force to further investigate the details, because it would mean that an existing HBCU would have a West Coast satellite. Right now, the only HBCU we have west of the Mississippi is Drew Medical School in Los Angeles. And so what better place than the birthplace of the Black Panther Party to be the next place for an HBCU? San Francisco wants to repurpose the Westfield Mall. So I think that, it's fine if that is able to happen there, but we have our own thing going on in Oakland. We have a whole campus with dorm space and all of that students could come to. There are a couple of different ways we would approach it. Potentially, there is something called HBCUV, which is a virtual option. And we're imagining if we can get, 2 or 3 or 400 local residents, young people who live in Oakland and surrounding areas to register for that, the HBCUs could see the commitment to that type of education as a beginning place to have a physical location. So really, really excited. It would be a destination for the West Coast. It would be something that would draw students from the region. I know your listeners and your audience know this, that HBCUs primarily educate African Americans, but their method of education is good for all students. And so nationally, we're seeing Afro Latinos enrolling in HBCUs, some European American students. It's just good education, but the majority of students that we would want to attract would be African American students.
And I know I said that was the last question, but I got one last question. What other events in Oakland do you say, if you know of any that are coming up, and we're going to close it out as we have.
Well, I would underscore that it is Restaurant Week in Oakland, so please come out and spend money with our Oakland restaurants. This weekend is an Oakland Marathon that is happening. There are a couple of luncheons that are happening next week. The 100 Black Women, Powerful Women of the Bay. Tonight there's an anti-Black exhibit, an exhibit on anti-Blackness at the Oakland Museum at 5:30. So if some of your listeners are local, come to the Oakland Museum and participate in that town hall. There's always something great happening in Oakland, and I just encourage people that if you are an Oakland resident or you come into Oakland to do one of these things and you have a great experience, put it on your social media. We change the narrative of the city one person at a time.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Dr. Kimberly Mayfield, for coming on the show today. As we close out, I want to thank you to Mr. Doni Glover for the honor of the Black Business Roundtable being a part of your growing network of podcast shows dedicated to bringing the real, unfiltered news before the news. Hashtag Black USA News, hashtag Doni Glover. Continue sharing hashtag Stand With Carlton of North Carolina 2022, a young brother who is defending his patrons and his business, who is serving a life imprisonment for protecting his business and his patrons and himself. Also, hashtag Justice for Enzo and Husky in Lodi, California, who was tased and dragged through the street in front of the neighbors and the community in Lodi, California. And we want to continue to not patronize their businesses until they acknowledge that. If you want to be in the know and reach our audience, then join our BBRT advertising family, or to be a possible guest on the show, reach us via our email, bbrt@hotmail.com. Include your company name, address, website, company phone number, and social media page info to our email, BBRT, for vetting consideration. Audience, help us grow by sharing our podcast and following us on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Tune in Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast Time on the Black USA News Network on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. And remember, together, and that's the key word, together, we can listen, we can learn, and we can share, because I know you care. This is Doug Blacksher, Deputy Mayor of Oakland, California, Dr. Kimberly Mayfield, and Dr. Ashley Coleman, who will be returning soon, of the Black Business Roundtable. God bless and good night. Thank you.